Hey guys, so some homework explanation for chapter 8. Thank you for those who actually asked me questions on Google Classroom. Sorry. These people, I love you guys so much. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. And to summarize it up, it's basically these bunch of questions here, okay? And yeah, so let's get started. Let's start from 8.1 homework here. So question 10, A and B, so yeah. Do you see that this is the format of, we want to solve for A, we want to solve for M in both cases, okay? So do you see the format as one number equals to some up part, down part, one number and a fraction up part, down part. And if you see these kind of questions, you don't know how to divide or multiply, you don't know what to do, you basically do the triangle, okay? And set the numbers up in the triangle. So if 1.1 is on top, then 1.1 here, negative 5.5 on the side, A here. And in this case, however, 4.8 is on top of the fraction, so M 6.4. So according to your triangle here, if you want to solve for A, in this case, you do A equals to 1.1 divided by negative 5.5. Okay, and then whatever number you get, and it's a negative number. Okay, so M in this case equals to 4.8 over 6.4. So basically, if you see one number equals to a fraction up top, so this is basically you put it in a triangle to actually see whether it's multiply or divide. Okay, so 12. Average speed of a vehicle, S, is represented by the formula S equals to D over T, where D is a distance driven and T is the time. Okay, so basically it gives you an equation, same idea as before. They give you equation, they give you unknowns, D, T, S, okay? If Pablo drove at an average speed of that, so basically you have to recognize what number is which letter, okay? So that's the speed of that, so that represents S. Okay, so 85 kilometers per hour, and for that much time, so T equals to 3.75. What's the distance? Okay, so the formula is S equals to D over T, so plug in the formula. 85, which is the speed, and what is D? Do we know D? No, question mark. And do we know T? I don't write question mark actually, I'll just write D. And do we know T? Yes, of course. Okay, and see, this is a one number on the side, fraction, top, bottom. Okay, so basically do triangle. What's the top? D is the top, 85, 3.75. Okay, so whenever you don't know whether to divide or multiply, you just set up the triangle. So D equals to 85 times 3.75. Okay, and that's whatever answer you have. Use your calculator to do it. So if Sheila drove 152 kilometers as an average at an average speed of 895. So that's the distance. D equals to, D is given at this point. Average speed S equals to 95 kilometers per hour. And so yeah, the formula is this, and we plug it in. S equals to 95 equals to, D is 152, T is question mark because they ask you about T. Okay, so again, set up the triangle. What's on top? 152 is on top because it's on top of the fraction. And then 95 and then T. So T therefore equals to 152 over 95. Okay, and calculate it using your calculator. Okay, 15. Again, 8.1 homework, okay? Without solving the equation that, predict whether D will be greater than or less than 0. Oh, okay. So it's basically D is positive or negative. Okay, so is D positive or negative? Okay, so this is negative 5 over D equals to negative 1.3. So do you see that this is a negative sign, this is a negative sign? If, let's say, if D is also a negative number, say negative 2, there must be two negative signs here, and this should be a positive instead of a negative. So D will be definitely a positive number. So let's see, that over D, for example, is a 2. And the answer will be a negative number, which is the same as this, okay? Of course, D is not 2. I'm just giving an example. So D has to be positive. D has to not have, or has to be by itself without a negative adding into the equation, okay? If D has a negative, then the whole thing will be positive instead of a negative. So D is a positive number. So D bigger than 0. Okay, in this case, a regular polygon, so this one, has a perimeter of that and the side length of that. Okay, great, identify the polygon. Okay, so polygon is basically a shape with different sides. We don't know whether it's 5 sides or something like that. So this basically is telling you what a polygon is. This is showing you a pentagon, which means 5 sides. But in this question here, we don't know how many sides. Okay, so we have to set up the side. So number of sides is x. Okay, side length is this. So if you have one side, it's just perimeter is just this. If you have two sides, it's this times 2. If you have 3 sides, it's this times 3. Okay, so basically if you have x sides, then is 5.68. X equals to the whole perimeter, which is this. And then you basically throw this little baggage over to the other side. You change to divide. 5.68. And you calculate using your calculator. Okay, and you get the side. Yeah, okay, so this one here, a score of 17 on a math test results in a mark of 68%. What score would give you a mark of 100%? Okay, so basically, you don't know, so basically it's asking you about what's the full mark, okay? So, you guys are really good at calculating your marks, so full mark equals to x, basically. And you got 17 over your full mark, 17 out of your full mark, which gave you a 68%. And change the percent to decimal is basically moving the decimal place to the left 2 times, 0.68 and 17 over x. So this is another fraction and the one number on the side. So you set up the triangle. This is 17 because 17 is on top of the fraction. X equals to 0.68. X then equals to 7 over 0.68, which gives you a number and calculate it by yourself. Okay, so the area of Nunavut is about that much times the area of Yukon. Nunavut covers 21% of Canada's area. What percent of Canada's area does Yukon territory cover? Let's set up Yukon's territory as y, and let's set up Nunavut's area as n. Okay, so basically the first sentence here, the area of Nunavut is about that much times the area of Yukon. You can set up the equation based on this. So Nunavut, go stepwise, okay? So Nunavut is that much times Yukon territory's area. So that's the equation given you from the first sentence here. Nunavut covers that much area of Canada. So Nunavut equals to 21% of Canada, okay? You basically simplify the words to a math equation, then you solve it basically. And you want to know how much area, what's the percentage here by Yukon. So is there anything you can substitute? You don't want n here, you want y here because they ask you about Yukon, okay? So n, you can substitute n by that much y. So you can actually substitute it in here. So 3 over 8 y, that's basically n equals to 21% of Canada. Okay, and solve for y then. 21% basically is 0.21 and divided by 483. Okay, you can change it to improper. 4 times 8, 32, 35. Okay, and you do the KCF thing. Okay, and then you basically solve it. You do this times 8 divided by 35, okay, in your calculator, and then you will get the result. And change the final answer to percentage to represent the percentage of area, of the whole Canada's area, okay? Here is basically substitution. You don't want n, you want y, so substitute it inside, okay? Yeah, so this question here, a cyclist is cycling 10 times faster as 6 times as fast as a pedestrian. The difference in their speed is that. What's the cyclist speed? Okay, 6 times as fast as a pedestrian. So cyclist is faster, pedestrian is slower. Okay, so if you want to set up the cyclist speed as x, then this x is 6 times as fast as a pedestrian. So the pedestrian, if the cyclist is x, the speed, the pedestrian would be x divided by 6 because pedestrian is less. Okay, so it's 6 times less, 6 times as slow as, so divided by 6 because you want a smaller quantity there because it's a slower speed. All right, the difference in their speed is that. So which has a higher speed of these two? This one has a higher speed, right? So big subtract small and will equal to the difference. The difference is 17.5, which is given the equation, okay? This is your equation, it's already set up. So this has a hidden coefficient, which is 1, okay? 1 minus, is grouping like terms here because this is 1x. If you cannot realize that, I will just write it down. 1x minus 1 over 6x, basically. Okay, if it's like that, then grouping like terms, 1 over 6, just deal with the coefficients. 17.5. And this 1 minus 1 over 6 is 5 over 6. X equals to 17 over 5. Throw this little baggage over, change it to divide. Okay, 17 like that, KCF, and then just solve it, okay? And basically plug in your calculator like this times this divided by that, okay? Yeah, so whatever answer you will have is the cyclist speed. What if you actually set up pedestrian speed and calculate cyclist speed afterwards? Yes, of course you can. If you set up pedestrian speed at x, then cyclist speed would be 6x, okay? And after you calculate x, you have to times 6 to get the cyclist. So same idea. I think it's just easier to set up x as cyclist speed beforehand and make pedestrian speed x over 6. Okay, so whichever way you do it. 8.2. Okay, so on Saturday morning, Mark had a quarter of his weekly allowance left. Okay, he spent a total of 6.5 on bus fares and a freshly squeezed orange juice on Saturday afternoon. Then he had 2.25 left. Okay, so how much is his weekly allowance? So the total is asked. So they ask you about the total, which is x. Okay, so on a Sunday morning, he has a quarter of his allowance left. So he starts off from a quarter of the total allowance. Okay, he spent a total of that much on bus, that much on juice. Oh, okay, so 6.5 on both bus and juice. Okay, perfect. And then he had 2.25 left. Okay, so yeah, just solve it. This is the equation here, so solve it here. Minus 6.5 over to the other side, change it to plus. Okay, solve it. This is 8.75. Yes, okay, 1 over 4x. And you want to throw this over to the other side, you change to divide it by 1 over 4, which is the same as times 4, because you do KCF, and solve it, okay? That will be the total allowance of the week. Okay, so this is garbage sentence here. Ignore it, just distract you. The total length of the fence is this. Okay, so you have a fence. Total length of the fence is 28. They work for 2 days on completed. Oh, actually, there's no width, so the total length is that. Okay, they work. Always draw a picture to help you understand the question. Okay. They work for 2 days and completed an equal length of a fence on each day. Ooh, okay. So they work for 2 days and completed equal length each day. Okay. So on the third day, they completed the remaining 4.8 meters of a fence. This is day 1. This is day 2. So draw a picture always. This is day 3. Okay. And the day 3 is basically 4.8 remaining. What's the length of the fence did they build on each of the first 2 days? Okay, so these are equal. They give you that, and equal length of fence on each day, right? So they give you that. And I'm going to say that the length of day 1 is x, so the length of day 2 will also be x. Okay, because they ask you about the length they built on day 2 or day 1. Okay, so, and that basically gives you equation. What are some equal relationship here? Okay, so basically this plus this equals to the total. Okay, so 2x, because you have 2x here, plus 4.8 equals to 28. Okay, that's your equation. And then you want to throw this over to the other side. You always want to look for equal relationships. Okay, it's all about interpreting the question. That's it. Change it to minus when you flip it over. And solve this. This will equal to 23.2, I guess. Yes. And then x then equal to 2. Throw over to the other side. Change it to divide. Okay. 1, that's 11.6, I guess. Is that right? Yes. Okay. So that's the length of the fence they built on each of the first 2 days. Okay. Great. So this one here, 28A, someone asked about that. Okay, so in this type of question, where you see all fractions, a trick or a method of doing it is to actually find a common denominator for all the fractions here. And so for all fractions, adding or subtracting. Okay, I'll tell you why that method always works. So find a common denominator. 2, 4, 6, 2. Common denominator would be 12, I guess. Okay, so let's change everything to 12. 3 over 2, this one to 12, something over 12, will equals to times 6 on both on up and down. 3 times 6, 18 plus 12 times 3, 3w, and equals to 12. And basically is this one here. That's times 2 on top and bottom. Okay, and the last one is minus 12, 1 over 2 to 6 over 12, okay, like that. Okay, and then you can realize that you can combine these two, everything on the left, combine everything on the right to common denominator, right? So that's 18 times 3w. That's based on your understanding of fractions that you learned in grade 8, okay? So like that. And you will realize that if the denominators are the same on both sides, then the numerator should be the same on both sides too. So you basically can say, you rewrite it as 18 plus 3w equals to 6 minus 6, 10 minus 6. You just basically solve for the numerator. That's it, okay? Or you can imagine it being times 12 on both sides to cancel it, cancel the 12, okay? So yeah, let's solve that. This is 4, 18 plus 3w. 3w equals 2. Throw this 18 over to the other side. 4 minus 18, negative 14. 3w. w equals 2. 3 to the other side. 4, negative 14 over 3. Okay? Determine the value of x. Oh, this is an easy question. About shape, of course. This is area. So area equals to side squared. So that much, that times equals to 1.69. Okay, so 1.69. Is that number, does that number click in your head? What's the square root of that? We wanted you to remember the square root until 13 or 16, right? So this is 13 squared actually equals to 169. So 1.69, if you square root it, 3.2x, then equals to square root of 1.69, okay? If you square root it, then there's 2 decimal here, so the answer, original one, must be 1 decimal only, so that's 1.3, okay? Which means 1.3 squared will give you 1.69. Okay, 3 plus 2x. X, throw 3 to the other side, 1.3 minus 3. And then that will give you 1.7 negative. Okay, and then you basically solve for it. You go ahead and use your calculator to do it, okay? So that's how you do it. That's how you do this question here. Okay, next. Finally, 8.3. For 8 and 10, I'm gonna pick a few to do, okay? So I'm not gonna do all of them. So 8D, in this case, you have fraction. You can do cross multiplication here. So 3 times 7 will equal to 6 times 2 times 5 minus g, like that. So solve for anything you can solve first. 3, 7, 21, 12, 5 minus g, okay, 21, and then that's 12 times 5 minus 12g, and that's 60. I'm using distributive property here, okay, basically. This is 60 minus 12g, 21, and you want to throw the 60 over to the other side. 21 minus 60 equals to negative 12g, okay, and basically you solve it. Minus, I think that's 39, and negative 12g, throw this over to the other side, negative 39, negative 12g, Okay, and you solve it basically, and you're done. Okay, and what else? Let's do something here. Which one do you want to do? Let's do this one here. Okay, so in this case, you want to, this is divided, you want to isolate a, by the way, and you want to throw this over to the other side first, okay, because that's this thing divided by that, so you want to go backwards. So divided by negative 5, so on this side they change it to times negative 5 equals to 4.6 minus a, okay, and that basically gives you 10.5, 4.6 minus a, over to the other side, 10.5 minus 4.6 equals to negative a. Okay, 5.9 and minus a. So a will equal to minus or negative 5.9. Okay, like that. So these solvings, they're not really hard. They're not extremely hard to do. It's just that you have to follow the steps and the rules. Okay, you can always go back and go back the video and replay and just replay until you understand. Okay, so the mean of two numbers is this. One of them was the other number. Oh, this is a easy question too. It's about average. So if average like that, what does average mean? It's basically height plus low divided by 2. Okay, one of the number is 1. We don't know whether it's which one is high, which one's low, but just two numbers, whichever that is fine. What's the other number? That's x. So basically 8.1 plus x divided by 2. The average of the two number is 3.2. Just solve it. Okay, 8.1 plus x equals 2 divided by 2 over to the other side, 3.2 times 2. Okay, 8.1 plus x equals to, this part is 6.4. Okay, and you throw this little baggage over to the other side, change the sign, minus 8.1 and equals to 3, this is small minus big, so the final answer is negative, and the difference between them, 8.1 and 6.4, between them is 7 and 1.7. Okay, like that. This one here. Okay, regular pentagon has perimeter of that. Perimeter is basically all the sides combined. How many sides are there? How many equal sides are there? 5, okay? So one side is this, x minus 3 times 5. That's the perimeter, which is 18.8. Okay, x minus 3 is, throw this 5 over to the other side, divided by 5. Okay, and then I don't have a calculator on hand. I want to get up and pull out my phone, sorry, but just use your calculator here, and whatever number you have, throw this 3 to the other side too. 18.8 over 5 plus 3. Okay, that will be your answer. Okay, so this one here, a square picture frame is made from wood and that is that much wide. Okay, so here is 1.6. The perimeter of the outside of the frame is 75.2. Okay, so the perimeter of the outside big square, it's 75.2. What is the side length of the largest square picture that the frame will display? So basically they ask you about what's the side length of the largest, so the side length of the picture inside. Okay, so if you analyze the problem, if it's not about picture frame, it's about pure like hollow shapes, you can understand it because you can see the relationship between sides. You always want to find what's the relationship between the known and the unknown. Okay, so the perimeter is this. Do you see that's a square? Of course. Let's analyze the situation a little bit. You're given the side length, you're given it here, you're given the length here is all 1.6, and you want to find the red part. Do you know the whole part? If you know the whole part, if you know the long length, you can actually go the long one minus 1.6 and second 1.6. You'll get the red, right? So can you know the long side? Of course, because you're given the perimeter, just divided by 4. Okay, because that's a square. So that's one side. One side here is 75.2 over 4. 75.2 over 4, that's one long side, minus 1.6 minus 1.6. It's basically the minus the blue minus blue gives you the red. Okay, what's the side length? So basically it will give you that. So yeah, in this case you don't have to set up x. But if you want to set up x, basically it's x plus 1.6 plus 1.6. So it's like x plus 1.6 plus 1.6 will give you 75.2 minus divided by 4, which is one long side length. This is your equation here, okay? But you don't have to actually. If they ask you to set up equation, that's the equation. But if they don't ask you to set up equation, just calculate it. You can just use this to straight calculate, okay? And plug in your calculator, you're done. 23D, this one here. Oh, that's a little bit complicated because it involves two distributive property setup. Okay. Oh, in this case, ooh, this one is interesting because you have a minus here. Okay, then, okay. So let's analyze it a little bit. Let's do distributive property first here. 6.2t plus 6.26 times 6. Okay, that's what I'm doing here for distributive property. Minus, okay. Do you see that this is actually negative 1.2 or minus 1.2? I told you the sign always follows the number behind it, okay? So this times t, which gives you minus 1.2t, okay? How about minus 1.2 and minus 2? So basically that will give you, do you see the 2 minus sign here? That will give you a plus actually. Please, 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 just be careful about that, okay? So a plus 1.2 times 2. Okay, the rest of it, I don't think it's a problem for you guys. Group the like terms. This is a like term, this is a like term. Can you group the t together so you can have only one unknown variable, one t? Yes, of course. 6.2 minus 1.2, it gives you a 5t, okay? Plus, what is that number there? I'm just going to change the color. That number there, 6.2 times 6 gives you 38.2, I guess. No, 37.2. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, I'm just like calculating in my brain right now. Okay, great. And plus, this is 2.4. Okay, group the numbers together. What does that mean? What does that equal to? That equals to 39.6. Yes. Okay, and rewrite everything. 5t plus 39.6. Okay, and then you want to isolate the t, so you want to throw this over to the other side. Minus 5.3 minus opposite sign. Okay. And you calculate this whole thing with your calculator, which is, you are making the world darker, minus, okay? So minus 4t, 4 plus 0.9, I guess so. Yes, 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 okay? Yes, and 5t. So you want to throw this 5 to the other side. So change sign, and t equals 2. Calculate it, use your calculator, okay? Okay. What's next? Okay, 8.4 homework. Someone asked about D, someone asked about D. 10, for question 10, I actually, I don't know which one to talk about. Let's talk about C, maybe? C, let's talk about C. Okay. This one here. Group the like terms, okay? If G and G on both sides or everywhere, if you see one equation has multiple letters, you want to group the like terms, okay? So let's see. Do you want to throw this negative g to the other side or this to the other side? So think about it to yourself. Before you actually do anything, just look at your equation, think about the best way of doing it to make your life easier. So if you want to throw this g over to the other side, the g becomes positive, hey? Yeah, so this g will have a positive coefficient, which is actually easier to deal with compared to a negative coefficient, because if you want to throw this positive to the other side, it will change to a negative. So the whole g will be a negative coefficient on the other side. So you want to keep g's coefficient positive because that's easier for you. Can you make it negative? Yes, of course, I don't mind, okay? It's just my personal habit that I want to make everything easier for myself. So minus g or negative g throw over to the other side, and this number term here, do you need the number term on the g side? No, you want to keep all the unknown terms, g's on one side and numbers on the other side, okay? So basically you want to do a swap here. Okay, so minus 3, throw it over to the other side, change it to a plus 3. And minus g, throw it over to the other side, we keep it there. Throw it over to the other side, change to plus g. Okay, can you group like terms here? That has a coefficient of 1 hidden. 2.5 plus 1 equals to 3.5. Can I say 3.5? Yes, hopefully you realize that. That's 2.5, okay. 3, and then 3 over to the other side, 3 over 3.5 equals to g. Calculate using your calculator, okay. This case, same idea. You want to group the terms, like I said, and always you want to do unknown one side, number the other side. Always you want to swap, group, like arrange the letters or arrange the numbers so that is easier for you to solve. So basically 4 and -1 has to be on one side, or -1 has to be on one side, and these two has to be on one side. Okay, and which way do you want to swap each one? So think about it to yourself. We want h to be a positive coefficient because that's just easier for me. I just think it's just a pleasure to look at it without negatives, okay? But yeah, whatever you do basically. But for me, I'm just going to throw this over to this side because that's minus. Throw it over, it will be a positive. So it will be 3 over 5h. Throw it over, it's plus 2 over 5h. How do you group the numbers? And then you want to group the numbers to this side then. So -5, -4. Okay, that's this side. That side is 3 over 5 plus 1, 2 over 5. That's the coefficients h. Is the backwards of distributive property, actually. So, but it's grouping like terms, okay, by the way. So here will be a 2, actually, because that's a 1 here, plus 3 over 5 plus 2 over 5, that's 5 over 5. So that's another 1 added in there. So 2h equals 2 minus 5. H, the coefficient of it is times, flip it over, change to divide, like that. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to, oopsie, why is it like this? I want to make some space. Okay. This case, same idea, distributive property first. Okay, 0.2 times 4y plus 0.2 times 3 equals to 0.6 times 4y minus 0.6, distributive property. Okay, simplify anything you can first. Always simplify as you go, okay? This is 0.8y. This is plus 0.6. Sorry, yes. And this one is 2.6, 2.4 y minus 0.6. Okay? Let's circle out anything you can group. This is a y term, this is a y term, and that's a number term, that's a number term. Okay, which one do you want to swap to actually make your life easier? In this case, I want to do 0.8y over to join my big coefficient here, because if you change over to this side, it will be subtracted by a small number, subtracted by 0.8. So I will get a positive coefficient, which is easier for me. 2.4y minus 0.8y, and then so the number has to be on that side, so 0.6 minus, sorry, not minus, this is a minus, so you change it over, flip it over to the other side, change it to a plus. Okay, 1.2 equals 2, group the like terms. That will be 2.4 minus 0.8 over times y. That will give you a 1.6. Times 1.6 over to the other side, change it to divided by. So plug in your calculator, you can calculate it. Okay, so how many questions left? I'm just 4 questions left. I like it when you ask me lots of questions, okay? Hopefully this video will help too. But yeah, let's move on. Now he has this much money and it's saving that much a week. Okay, so it's saving, so the number gets bigger that much per week. Beth know and the Beth now has that much and spending that much, so as minusing each week. How many times, how many weeks from now will they have the same amount of money? Okay, that's a good question actually. 28, so add 2 and Beth. So originally he has 28.5, she has 1.104.75. So this one is a poorer one, this one is a richer one, but this one earns, this one spends. Okay, so earns is basically plus how many weeks, right? So X weeks, so 8.75 every week for X weeks. And this one spends 6.5, spends is minus 6.5 X, 6.5 each week, X weeks. Okay, when will they be the same? When they're the same. Okay, and solve for X. Same idea, group the X terms. This is a minus, I don't want to see it. I kind of want to throw it over to join this side. Change it to a plus. Okay, and 104.75. This one threw over to the other side because that's a number term, minus 28.5. Okay, group the like terms, solve, and then you know what to do. This question here. Okay, two triangles have equal perimeters. This one just adding it up and solve, just redundantly adding everything up and solve. Okay, so the perimeter of this one here, number 1, number 2. Number 1 perimeter equals to number 2 perimeter. Okay, so I'm just gonna set up the equation, okay, and you can solve it by yourself. It's just all the same idea going over and over and over again. I'm just adding up all the sides for triangle 1. This triangle 2 here is again adding up all the side. Okay, and then you just group the terms. You group the terms on this side first. X term, X term, X term. That will give you what X? Minus 2 plus 5 plus 7. That will give you 10 X. Okay, the number terms is basically 8.5 plus 11 minus 0.83. It will give you, I think, plus 19.2. Okay, and this side same thing, 5x minus 0.5x plus 6x will give you 11x minus 0.5, and which is 10.5x, and plus that number combined, so that's 9.2 minus 0.6 will give you 8.6. 9.2 minus 0. Yes, okay, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here. And then just group the terms and solve as you go. I want to throw this 10 to the other side because after you subtract, you will get a 0.5x, okay, which is a positive coefficient because that's 0.5x minus 10x will give you that. And then you throw this over to this side, it will give you 6, and then 10.6. Yes, okay, because that's 19.9 minus 8.6, like that. Okay, and then you divide, change or flip 0.5 to the other side. Sorry guys, there's too many questions at the same time, so like my brain is like kind of messed up a little bit. But I tend to go fast now because I explained all the questions before, okay? And then you solve it using a calculator, you get X. Okay, last few questions. Yeah, this one's the same thing here. The two rectangles have the equal areas. Determine the area of each rectangle. Okay, determine the area of each. So you have to solve for P first, okay? Area is equal, so it's the same as perimeter question. Exactly the same. Just that's the area of this, and that's the area of this. Side times length times width, okay? When they're equal. Distributive property, equal, and then group the terms, and then you're done. Okay, this one, Alan's height is 4/5 of his father's height. Alan's older brother Ben is 6 cm taller than Alan. Okay, so basically you have to set each sentence here as a relationship. Okay, so let's set up the relationship here. Let's say Alan's height, so A, father's height is F. So this equation tells you A, or this sentence tells you A is 1/4 F. Alan's older brother Ben, so B, 6 meters taller than Alan, so B equals to 6 centimeters taller, so B is taller, A is shorter, so it's basically A plus 6 because A is shorter, B is taller, okay? Yeah, just make sure each relationship is correct when you write them down as math equations. Ben's height, which is B, equals to 5/6 of their father's. How tall is their father? You want to solve for F, okay? When you want to solve for F, you want to make sure your whole final equation here only F is in it, so you can solve for F, okay? So, but you have A and B, so can you substitute A and B by F? Of course you can, okay? Which equation does not have F? This one does not have F. Can you substitute B by F? Yes, it's here. Can you substitute A by F? Of course, it's here, okay? So B is 5/6 F. That's actually B. And then equals to, in this case, I'm just transferring it here, equals to A, which is 4/5 F plus 6. Okay, that's your whole equation there. I'm just rewriting this middle equation by substituting F's into A and B. Okay, and solve. Yeah, you just basically solve it, and you want to throw this over to this side because you want to group the F terms. Minus 4/5 F equals to 6, and just normally solve group like terms. Okay, solve the coefficients, and then just, yeah, same idea afterwards. I'm gonna stop there. 27. Which one do you want me to talk about? Let's do C maybe. Okay, let's do C. So, oh, by the way, no, I want to do B. Okay, let's do B here. So, distributive property, whenever you see brackets, get rid of the bracket first, okay? So, this is a minus 1/2 and the minus S, so combined together, you have a positive. Please, that's really important, okay? That's really important, please, that's a plus. Because you have two minus signs timed up together. 2 plus 1/4 times 5 plus 1/4S. Okay, if it's plus, it doesn't really matter, don't care about it. But when it's minus, just be careful, it just boom to a, minus change to plus, okay? Anything you can simplify? Yes, that's 3 minus 2, that's a 2, plus 1/2s, and this is 2 plus 5/4 plus 1/4s. Is there anything else you can solve? Of course, this is 1, so 1 plus 1/2s. Is there anything you can solve here? Of course, that's 4. That's 8/4 here for the 2, so 13/4. Okay, 13/4 plus 1/4s equals to, you group the like terms together. This is bigger. This is a bigger coefficient, so the small joins the big to actually make sure your coefficient for S is positive. It really doesn't matter the coefficient is positive or negative. It's just me that, like, my habit to make sure that I want to make it more positive as possible. Okay, I just hate negative numbers. I want to group the number terms on this side. This is +1, so over to for -1. So that's a half minus a quarter, so it will be a quarter left. And then this is 4/4 for 1, so it equals to 9/4. So 1/4 flipped over to the other side, S will equal to 9/4 divided by 1/4, 9/4 times 4, KCF, that equals to 9. Okay, so the final answer, S equals to 9. Okay, I think that's all of the questions here. Perfect. Okay, once again, thank you for asking all the questions. I hope that this is helpful. Okay, you can replay anytime, and you can still ask me on Remind, and Thursday we have a help session too, but bring your question to a help session. Okay? Yeah, okay.